Welcome back, Terrible Warriors, to our run-through of Zombie World. Zombie World is a game by Magpie Games. It's a game that I got to present while I was at Gen Con last summer, and it was a lot of fun. And one thing I really like about it is it's a whole game in a box. Little preparation necessary. You don't have to print anything else in advance. You don't have to prep anything in advance. You just bust the box out and away you go. And that's exactly what we've done. I'm sitting here around the table with my players. I am not alone. I am joined, let's go with reverse order. Starting at my left, your right.
Sean Hoberchuk playing Jimmy Shane.
Our heavy.
This is Velvet Duke. I am playing Father Pat Murphy, the Prophet.
Pat Murphy. You sound like something out of like Father Ted. That character,
which I know the reference of. I don't know him, but
it's called a Brit comedy, but it's definitely an Irish comedy,
right?
And fun story if you ever do watch it. Father Ted was filmed in the area of West Ireland where I would spend my summers, and my dad's cottage was down the road from the building that they filmed the exterior of Father Ted's house at. And Craggy Island isn't an island; it's actually a limestone region in the center of County Clare called the Burren, and that was. Yeah, where I spent my summers at Craggy Island, and so it's a fun, good, weird time. Anyway, none of that matters because we're playing a zombie game. With that tangerine out of the way, last but not least.
I'm Joe Drummond, and I'm playing Sarah Davos, our visionary.
And you are all members of the enclave of Huckleberry Farm. And Huckleberry Farm is a place that we have described as being surrounded by a thick forest out in the zombie world. You have all scraped and fled and arrived here, and all roads seem to lead to Huckleberry Farm because we don't have any privacy left. We only have the one ranch house and the barn. The barn has been taken over by our prophet and their cult members. And maybe you've got your allies there, but there might be even more like other people that have just kind of signed up for your promises. And it's a thing. We've got like almost an enclave within an enclave. Along with the city refugees, we also have the family of the farmers that lived at the property before y'all arrived, and a pair of hunters, as we described as Kirby and Jack. And Kirby and Jack would go out and find the supplies and bring things in. There's a big reason why food is not one of the scarcities in this farm, despite the winters and despite the environmental impact that the zombies have had. Maybe we're not necessarily harvesting all of our food, but hunting a good portion of it to get things by. And at the very end of our creation episode last week, I drew the fate card that said 2 members of the population have gone missing. And we had very much described how important these 2 hunters were. So Kirby, our hunter, is from the city refugees, and Jack, the other hunter, is from the family of farmers, or from the farmer family, and they have become as thick as thieves. They go out there as a duo out to hunt, and they watch each other's back, and neither of them has returned. Near the end of the day, they've missed their check-in. The volunteers that keep an eye on the perimeter are like, we haven't seen them. They headed out in the morning and they just didn't come back. And the light is starting to fail. And Sandy, the head of the farm, is beside himself. The city refugees led by Priya, she's not too happy either and is quite worried because they got young people. They've got people from the city who are, they need to be fed. And when we left, some of them are getting into an argument with some of your people, Pat, of like, why don't we just take food from the barn? I see them taking food away and bringing offerings to Pat and keeping it. I bet they've got bags of food. I bet they've got cans and food and preserves. They're all just keeping it hidden away from themselves. They're not going to share with us. Why don't you show us what you got hidden in the barn there, Pat?
Everyone is welcome. Everyone is welcome. Be one of us. Be with us. The future is us. But we also have to maintain our peace. We have to resolve the problem that is before us, and that's not the future scarcity. It is our missing members of this enclave. They are out there, and we need to go find them. So, I am going to send one of my people. Are you going to send one of your people? We can team up. I think if we go in teams, we're showing good faith across everyone here on the enclave.
I like what he said.
What is your steal stat? It's a 2. So I'm going to draw here from the survivor deck. And normally I'll have you draw, but we're on like far ends of the table. So this represents our dice roll. It does sound like you're trying to calm an NPC down. And I'm interested to see if you strike that and if it doesn't maybe escalate and blow up in your face. And so I'm going to let this come down to this card draw. You're going to draw 2 cards, and you're going to pick 2. If anyone wants to help or interfere with the prophet, because you only see 1 card face up on their end, you can choose to aid them. However, you will mark stress every time you do, and you can take the card you draw and swap it out with whatever card that they drew, right? So they're drawing 2, you'd only get to draw 1, right? So you drew a miss, and you drew an edge.
Can you remind me what an edge is?
So an edge is almost a hit. An edge is a hit with conditions. In this, in particular, on a triumph, you would get to pick 2 of the options. On an edge, you only get to pick 1. They keep calm for some time. They reveal their true concerns, or they don't hold you responsible. So if you only get to pick 1, you could hold them, not hold you responsible, or hold calm for some time. Because chances are, if you don't pick the other, then the other's going to happen, right? They either won't remain calm or they will hold you responsible. So I like how they play with those negatives. So on an edge, you only get to pick 1 of those. If you would like to help the prophet and see if you can draw a triumph, you can mark stress and draw 1 card.
I think Jimmy's going to help out here. Yeah.
So Jimmy, you mark stress. You only get to draw 1 card because only if the prophet reveals their past or their trauma card, you get to draw additional cards for every face-up card on their table. Right. It's a miss. So you're not going to get to... You could swap out that edge to a miss and interfere instead and
Not what
make
he's
things
going for.
real bad. And Sarah, what are you doing here?
Can I assist as well?
You can absolutely.
I
You
would-
would also mark stress and you would also draw
Sure.
1 card.
I'd like to do that because I think this is a good plan. This is the plan I would have suggested.
You do draw a triumph. So when you assist or aid, you also wrap yourself up in the situation. So Jimmy, how do you not help? The order. This sounds like in the order it happened. And then Sarah, you're going to step in with and how you did turn this into a shit show into a hard victory.
Jimmy tends to go for the brute force solution, so he gets right up in the guy's face and is like, listen, like, you got to listen to this guy. He's right. He's right. He's right.
Like, are you not listening to his reasoned and logical approach to this?
He knows what he's talking about, and just like gets right in the guy's face, which does not make things better at all.
And then Sarah.
So Sarah physically inserts herself between Jimmy and who's our
Priya.
Priya. She physically inserts herself between Jimmy and Priya, kind of stiff arms Jimmy away to give them a bit more space.
Not an easy thing to do.
While like giving him kind of a bit of a glare.
Yeah. Good. Are we really doing this right now?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And she says she from her back pocket she pulls out the local maps that we have, and
Oh, yeah. We can use that to assess a situation. You're right.
and she flips them down on the table that is near where she and Priya are talking. And
So we do have to resolve calm an NPC down. So with all
Okay.
this help going on, meanwhile, I come back to you, Father Pat. You get to pick 2 from that list. They will keep calm for some time. They will reveal their true concerns, or they will not hold you responsible.
Well, of course, I'm not worried about keeping them calm. I can use that energy outward toward the zombies. So they are not going to hold me responsible, and they are going to reveal their true concerns.
So as you're bringing out the map, Gupta is still stressed out and freaked out, and things are going on because she is worried that these forests are not safe, that their perimeter is not secure, that we have gotten complacent and we have been calming ourselves down, and we don't know what's out there. And what if there's more than just zombies out there? Look at everyone who's living here, all these people that are coming down. What if there are other people moving in? What if they've encountered them? What if they're in trouble? What if they've been captured? And she's going right to now worst case scenarios and is starting to freak out. And other people now in the crowd are starting to be like, what do you mean? There's other people out there? What do you, we're not safe here. We don't have any weapons. We don't have any. What do we do if they're out to? What if they're hunting people? Oh my God, they're hunting people! And it's now going through this. Everyone is like really on edge as you're going over the maps.
Okay.
And when you assess a situation, you get to ask a bunch of questions. But when you're using the maps, you get to ask the GM like big macro questions about the area.
So
hand me the local maps advantage
Sure.
card so I can see that. But no, it's specifically a bad situation. Now, this isn't a bad situation. No, we've got a panicked enclave. We've got missing hunters, but we don't really know how bad the situation is.
Sure.
But I'm willing to let you use this. So you would, when you assess a bad situation, it's your steal stat that you draw from.
Yeah, it is.
And you get to ask for the area as a whole.
Okay.
Whereas normally the assess a bad situation would just be for the situation immediately at hand in front of you.
I see.
All right. And you get to ask questions like, what's the biggest threat?
Okay.
What here is the most useful to me? What's my best escape route? Who here is most vulnerable? Right? So those are the kinds of questions you ask with assess a bad situation. So if that sounds like something you would like to ask about the local area,
Yes.
then that's what happens. So I'll let
Great.
you draw 3 cards here from the survivor deck.
All right. I've drawn a miss, another miss, and an edge.
And an edge. So again, you can wrap yourself up in the situation, you can mark stress, and you can aid and try and turn that edge into a triumph. Up to you, or you can just leave Sarah to their own devices and leave them stuck with an edge. With an edge, you only get to ask 1 of questions. With a triumph, you get to ask 2. Whenever you act on the answers I give you, you will get a +1 on that action, right? So you get like this forward that you can hold on to that you can then use if you act on the information that I present to you from your questions.
I take a step forward. I'm not going to insert myself, but my presence is known and felt. I hold my hands up, and I'm ready to intercede.
So you're not helping, or
I am going to help.
Okay, so
I'm
mark
going
off
to try and
stress, and you draw a miss. So you could swap out the edge into a full-on miss and interfere instead, but
You're thinking about
but you're
it.
unable to aid.
I do not swap it out.
Okay.
I do this. I see what's happening.
Jimmy, how
and I
helpful
walk
are you
away.
feeling?
Jimmy just got pushed out of the way.
Jimmy did just get
Do you
pushed
want to
out of the
interfere?
way.
Oh, I don't know if he's quite there yet.
Like
but
the two of you have quite an antagonistic
really
relationship.
do.
If you
We
want to
definitely
get
do.
rid of that edge, and if you draw a miss, you can swap out that edge, and then Sarah's left with 2 other miss cards.
Oh, boy.
Can't do jack.
Yeah, maybe, you know what? I'll try and interfere. We'll see what happens.
Oh my
Okay,
goodness.
mark the stress. You draw an edge. So the best you could do is if a triumph had been swapped, you could have interfered with the triumph and swapped that out. So do you want to? There's nothing you can't
Nothing I
change
can do.
there. This is why 3 card draws are really helpful versus if you only draw 1, you're at the complete mercy of aid and interfere, right? And
This
then
is so good.
after aids and interferes and everything are resolved, they go back into the survivor deck and they're reshuffled. The survivor deck is always reshuffled. There's another deck here called the bite deck. We never reshuffle that until there's 15 cards. One of them says you've been bitten. That's the only time you reshuffle after that card has been found, which is kind of fun.
So good.
You review the maps and you get to assess a bad situation for the area as a whole. I will answer your questions based on large scale information. On a miss, the advantage, so you didn't miss it. You got, if Jimmy had gotten in the way, it would have been like spilling coffee all over the maps and wrecking them, and it would have destroyed this advantage. And you would have had to go out and
no.
resurvey the area to make new maps.
Right.
Instead, you only get to ask 1 question there. What question would you like to ask the maps?
Okay. What is the best way in to try to find the hunters?
So there is north of the farm a valley that the hunters have used in the past when like bottlenecking prey. Like they'll follow them in, they'll like track them, and they'll just have them tire themselves out. And then once they get into the valley, they don't have as many escape routes to get out. That is most likely also like a pain point for them. So in terms of what's the best way in, or the most likely location of where they are, it would be in this kind of a canyon, small valley that then leads out through the forest and out towards a river. And that would be, you could search this thick forest all day, but on this map, and you can even see marked on the map where the hunters, that's where they go. And so at the very least, that's a good place to start to see what happened to them.
Okay.
So I point all of that out on the map to Priya. I say we need some strong, fit people to come with us. I'm volunteering to go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm quite capable at tracking myself. And I would appreciate if we could band together on this.
Okay. Draw your soul.
I won't. I will draw steel instead.
Yes, that's
Because
right.
I am
You-
the visionary.
you can. Put that back on the card. You draw 2 edges and a miss. So we're looking at the edge result here for asking an NPC for help. They will tell you what they want in return. On a triumph, they would just help you. But Priya is not willing to put people at risk just for 2 other people in the group, no matter how important they are, right? Like they're kind of looking to her to keep them safe and alive. So what does Priya want in return? Priya has had it with living on top of everyone else, and there's no room to breathe, there's no room to go, and this place is not feeling safe. So, she'll give you the help you need, but you also need to come back with supplies to start renovating this building, keep things up, build some expansions. So you go out there, you find these people, but also you help us deal with our privacy issues.
I think that would be beneficial to the community as a whole.
So
I
it's going to be
completely
stuff
agree.
you're going to have to scavenge while you're out there. Or she's going to also know like you reneged on the deal. So
Okay.
that's kind of all right. You have these people,
Yeah,
but
I
then
agree
when
to the
that's
deal.
done, our needs are pressing, and you got to start looking out for us too.
This seems like it would be beneficial to the whole community. I agree with your assessment of the situation.
All right, Virginia, Odette, Priya yells out, "You're going with them," and Virginia, has got a reputation of being a burglar, and Odette's the group psychic. And Odette is like, I know where they are. I will lead you to them.
Amazing.
This couldn't be better.
So Virginia and Odette come out of the city group of refugees, and these 2 are going to come with you on Priya's orders to help you find the missing hunters.
And Tasha is being volunteered to come. Tasha is very good with the first aid kit. Has empathy and medicine.
How's then there's also
the daughter?
the daughter, the farmer's, like, how's she dealing? Jack would be her brother, right?
Right. So I am purposely holding her back because I do not want Sandy to feel like there's now another child out there in danger.
Oh,
so
how kind of you.
it is strategic. I mean, kind.
Okay.
So yes, as much as Estella wants to go and is handy with fighting, I think it's more important if the hunters need it that they get the medical care they need.
Yeah. Okay.
Do we go or are we base
you can
camp and they?
That's up to you. If you want to direct them to go out and find things, we can draw to see how well or bad that happened. Or you're more than welcome to lead out, and we wouldn't follow this scene. It would be more like you would just draw the cards and go to sleep and then see what happens.
I want to go.
Sarah also told Priya that she was going to go.
Yeah.
Kirby's
yeah.
a friend of mine. I'm going.
Yeah, you have to. All right. So
So we're all going.
in terms
Yeah.
of equipment and things, it is assumed in a game like this that you have what you would normally need. If it's really an unusual or rare item, you could go out and find it. If you introduce something, it's more likely going to be something that I can break later on. So I'm happy to say yes, and then you can repair it later. As well as each of these NPCs have on them skills and equipment. If you direct them to action, we would look at the skills and equipment, and if it matches what they have with them or what skills they're bringing to the table, they might get additional bonuses to the card draw. So like they can be asked to do anything, but if you get Tasha to help with medical stuff, they might do a little bit better than Virginia the burglar, right? So what's the plan then? You're heading out into the forest to find Jack and Kirby. You've got a team. 6 of you are going out to find them. Although, as I mentioned, the sun is setting. It's going to be dark soon. And you've got a location into the valley. You've got your map, so you know where the trail is that they use. That's a little off of the beaten path. So hopefully that'll help you not attract unwanted attention. What do you do? Like I said, we can propose a plan. We can cut right to the action, or we can go out and since you're having to do that, is forage for supplies is a thing. It's written up there on the Enclave card. If you hand that up to me, so foraging for supplies in zombie world, when you find things, it'll just be declared as gear, just a point of gear. And then as you gain gear, the players can propose to convert that into a material thing. So 1 gear is useful but disposable, a flare or a few rounds of ammo. 2 gear is useful but limited, a flashlight, clothes. 3 gear is useful but bulky, like lots of ammo or medical supplies. 4 gear is valuable, like construction materials. 5 gear is rare and valuable, like communications gear, sniper rifle. So depending on how big, bulky, rare, and valuable it is, depends on how much more gear you'll need to find. So if you're heading out to the valley and you're keeping track of things, you could forage for supplies, which is you draw 3 cards from the survivor deck. For each hit in the deck, you get +1 gear. A triumph counts as 2. When you push your luck while foraging, you can choose to draw 3 more cards, but you have to draw from the bite deck for every time you spend out foraging for more supplies.
Whoa.
So we can do that on the way, or you can propose a plan and we can cut right to the action. But it means you're also not foraging for supplies. In order to get the construction material that you want for Priya, you would have to get 4 gear.
Right. I think we find Jack and Kirby first.
If you want to rescue them,
I'm on
to get
team
out.
Jack and Kirby.
We can always
Look on the way back if they're not injured.
exactly,
Yeah.
or
Do it tomorrow.
During the day.
during the day.
Right.
So making a plan. It's a plan about taking violent action, or a plan about being careful and stealthy, or a plan about persuading or manipulating, or a plan about pushing through or being tough, right? They each would use a different stat.
Right.
And then we would see, is the plan supported by plenty of resources? Yeah, I would say that. You got a lot of people on your side. If the plan is based on current information, yeah, you've got the maps on your side. So that would be another 2. Take -1 if there's significant opposition. Take -1 if there's significant dissent. So you would automatically be starting with +2 to that draw. But I also need to hear what your plan is,
Right.
so that I know what you're doing. So what the 3 of you now, you've got Tasha, Virginia, and Odette the psychic going, I know where they are. They're out in the valley. And it's like, yeah, no shit. That's where they hunt every day. That's like their place. They're still alive, but they're being pursued.
I think we do this the old-fashioned way. We slowly proceed forward, making note of any tracks that they might have left. We do this to the best of our ability with our flashlights and our tracking skills. I am sure you have some tracking skills.
Sure.
Yeah, he could punch trees along the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just slow, steady, and we make the most of the information that we have while trying to arouse as little of anything else.
I agree with everything you said.
So that's definitely
Except for slow.
that definitely
The
is
sun is going down.
Yeah. Time is against us.
being careful and smart uses survival. If you wanted to be pushed through and being strong, maybe a little more hasty, you'd be using steel. But that would mean like we're cutting down trees, we're yelling out, Kirby, Jack, flashlights, flares, right? Like really kick up a storm. Or going through the woods quiet and carefully and taking your time into the night would be survival. So is it steel or survival?
We know what's out there and it's not good.
But we also know that silence is death.
We do? When did we know that?
Chapter 3
of Survival Guide. If you are quiet and in danger, well, unless the danger's on top of you, you need
to yell out so they know you're looking for them.
They need to know that help is on the way, if nothing else. Or they need to have a distraction by us so that they can get to somewhere safer.
I'm not afraid of a few zombies.
But I agree with everything else you said. We still have to be careful.
So it just comes down to is it survival or steal? And then the style of the plan that we're going for. And I like this is going on, but like, all right, these two are at an impasse. Jimmy, you got the deciding vote here.
Jimmy,
This is a triumvirate at this table. Like it or not, you're one of the leaders of this enclave.
He does not like it, but
No.
Everyone looks to you though. You're the biggest person on the farm. You're like part of like, maybe like you and your friend here, Shun. You and Shun are part of like, strongman competitions where you're like pulling tractor tires by your nipples and like all kinds of like dumb shit
It's
like
a
that.
hobby.
It's a legitimate athletic sporting exercise. It's going to be an Olympic sport one day when society gets rebuilt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. Well, he's really worried about Kirby, so he's on team. Let's go. Like, let's go quick. Let's go loud. Like, let's find them.
Jet's like, I've got a flare we could use, and points it around at different people. Like, get that out of your hand. I knew you were going to do that.
Sarah looks at the group that we've assembled. Sarah turns to Virginia and says, what skills do you find that you can bring to the table? I don't believe we've met before. Or we haven't had much to say to each other so far.
I think Virginia just kind of looks at you and is allied with Priya, but is kind of on neutral / hostile with everyone else, just braiding their hair. She doesn't respond. She just looks at you like kind of sighs like that. Priya knows, right? Priya chose her for a reason.
Sarah,
Yes.
we'll follow your lead.
Virginia's just gonna be obstinate.
Jimmy, I think you're going to make a lot of noise no matter what we do. So let's just go with your plan.
That's probably true.
So are we taking violent destruction as our plan?
I wasn't
Are we
going
like
that far.
taking the
just like plowing the forest?
plowing through with the big old truck and the high beams and the horn and the diesel?
You know what?
Or are we going with the steel flare Jack?
That's
Or-
more what Sarah was imagining, but she's already deferred to you two, so...
So now is it savagery or steel?
It is. I actually still like the flares and the shouting.
That's more what Jimmy was thinking,
Okay,
even if
okay,
it's not what he's good at.
Your savagery is going to come into play when things
it will.
when things hit the shit.
yeah.
So with steel, you're drawing 3 on steel.
No, I'm a soul guy.
I'm a steel.
she's
Okay, so
the-
you're going along with the plan. You're going to draw with steel. You're also going to take an extra card because it's plenty of people and resources. You're also going to take it because it's planned on current activity because you're doing that. And because you're going into the valley, you get a +1 based on the information from the assess a bad situation. So draw 6 cards.
6 cards!
Like
One,
there's 12
two,
of them. One of them says
three,
triumph. You have 50-50
4,
chance.
5,
This is a very good plan.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, we have a miss, an opportunity, an edge, a miss, and a miss.
Oh my god. I
wow.
that was okay, so you can take the edge, which the plan goes wrong and either something falls apart or the party splinters, or you can mark stress because this isn't the plan you wanted.
It's not the plan I
And you
wanted.
can turn it into a triumph.
I am way more comfortable with the tracking plan. But you know what? This is the plan we've made. This is what we're going to commit to. I'm going to put my doubts aside and I'm going to go wholeheartedly on this plan.
Okay, so mark off some stress.
Just one, right?
Yeah, just the one. And that opportunity turns into a triumph. So on a triumph, you arrive in the middle of your plan in decent shape. So things could have gone wrong on the way there, but you're out there. You got the flares. You're taking stress because you're causing a lot of noise out in the forests, surrounded by
At
zombies
night.
at night, heading into a valley. But when you arrive in the valley, you yell out, "Jack!" And you go, "Kirby!" You hear the flare. You hear just beyond the valley, out by the river, "Hey, hey!" And it's Kirby's voice.
Hey.
Hey.
Well,
All right.
we've got a direction to go in
Let's
now.
do it.
And when you get out into the riverbank, you can see the water is the water level's risen quite high. It's it's washed up over the banks and it's flooding into the trees, and it almost looks like it might have happened suddenly. And it's Jack is up in was it Jack or Kirby that I mentioned?
Kirby.
It's Kirby. So Kirby, he's up in the trees, and he's across the river, and the rushing water is there, and he's up there going, "Hey, I'm stuck."
Oh,
Well, that explains that.
there's no way this can go wrong.
No.
We know at least where one of them is.
Yeah.
So Sarah yells out, "Is Jack with you?"
And he's like, I care.
Over the water.
So the water's rushing and it's going, and he says he's yelling something out, but you can't make out. All you hear is like, "Watch out!" A little too much noise, and he's trying to get across. And he's up on this branch, and he looks tired, like he's been there up all day.
Does anyone have any rope?
I always have rope.
Oh yeah, some of them might have. Virginia just like puts a bag down on the ground as a bag of rope.
So does it look like it's enough to get across the river?
Oh yeah, yeah. You could. I mean, it would be like, how would you get the rope across the river, or would you wrap someone around the waist?
How wide is the river that we're looking at?
Think like Grand River, just outside of the GTA here. So it's like
Okay.
you might have to like raft across,
Right,
right?
right.
Like it's not.
It's a significant river.
It's
Okay.
it's flooded up, and something's happened
So it's
to
probably
the natural order.
So Sarah turns to Jimmy. It's
And
probably
in the river is like debris, stone, bits of building material, and things are floating. Like there's lots of garbage in there, and every now and then you might even see like it looks like clothing or like a floating hand, and
Ooh.
That's
it looks like something up river, maybe a dam or something has gone off, and that's what's bringing all this down.
You can't throw. So like, Sarah kind of points to the bag and looks at Jimmy and goes, "You can't throw this across there, can you?"
I mean, I could throw it across. I don't know if it's going to get in the water and just go or what, but
We could set up a guideline that goes from this tree, and she points to a tree, to the tree that to the tree that Kirby's in.
Yeah.
That would get us a long ways towards safely getting across the river.
And if you use the rope itself as a lasso, basically,
Loop
or
it
whatever,
around.
to make it
Yeah.
go faster and further.
We could probably weight it as well. I'm sure. We have rocks.
there's rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or debris. I mean,
Debris,
you can
yeah.
pick stuff from the edge.
Now, this isn't exactly a carryover, but there is a rescue an NPC option on the zombie moves. And it says rescue an NPC from the zombies. But looking at this might still work. On an edge, you would draw from the bite deck or suffer serious harm. We're out in the zombie-infested forest. So it's entirely possible the longer we spend out there, we are going to attract attention. We're making a lot of noise. We're yelling. There's things going on. We don't know what's in the water. We don't know what's behind us. So you're also you got to rescue them quickly, or you're going to also be fighting off zombies while doing this rescue attempt. On a triumph, you will pull them to safety. On an edge, you can suffer serious harm, where if you fail on a suffer serious harm draw, you get killed and you might get washed away in the river, and that's the end of you. Or
geez.
if you want to avoid serious harm, you can draw from the bite deck instead. Bite deck includes things like an escalating threat, something breaks, maybe the rope, zombies show up, and one of those cards says you've been bitten. We haven't even drawn from that yet, so we don't know where in the card it is, but it's a 1 in 15 shot right now.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
So that's the choice there with rescuing NPC, and it's a steal stat. And you know, Sarah, you've got a real good plan here. You know,
That
get
is
the
my
rope,
plan.
get some rocks, get someone out there, get Kirby to safety, get him back to the shore, find out what the hell happened to Jack,
Yep.
and then get out of here.
And can we assist on these ones too, or is it just...
You can in zombie moves is a little bit different. You would choose to take point, and you would go up and you would draw from the group and suffer alone. So when you take point, anyone else can draw from the bite deck to give that player a +1 on their card draw. So if you want to help with the rescue an NPC, you would draw from the bite deck instead to give whoever's rescuing the NPC more opportunity.
Oh wow.
but it also means things happen when you
shit.
do that.
Right.
Oh,
Right?
shit.
So this is very different from events that are happening in the safety of the enclave. When we're out here in the thick, we haven't seen them, but also with all the water going around. And I mean, Sarah, you're worried about that. So I think in this situation, the zombie moves here might be the most appropriate, even though they haven't revealed themselves yet.
Makes sense.
Yep.
I'm in.
Agreed.
So
All right, so that's my plan. What are we doing?
it sounds like you're going on point. So you're going to
All
draw alone. You draw for the group, but you suffer alone, right?
Okay.
And if anyone wants to help, I'm just going to leave that out there in the center of the table because I don't want to touch it. I want you all to feel its presence and deal with that.
This is the bite deck that we just put in the
Yes.
center of the table.
It's sitting there all ominous.
So
And before
right now you're getting 3 cards.
I would like to help. Do I do that
Yeah,
before?
you would draw from the bite
Oh
deck.
boy.
All right.
What does it say?
Threat. Something breaks.
So the branch that Kirby's on is cracking. It's falling. This is it. This is your only opportunity. If you don't get there and get him now, he's gonna fall into the water and get pulled away. So that's the scene is ramping up. The tension is going. It's now or never. So you got 4 cards.
Oh.
Another threat.
Something breaks. Another something breaks.
Something breaks.
Oh,
He's in the water. You've got to jump in there now,
shit.
but you can draw 5 cards. But you're going out there right now
All
into
right.
the water.
So Sarah pulls. She's starting to give the rock to Jimmy so that he can throw
crack
it.
under the weight. It finally just like this dead old tree just falls, and you just hear splash, and it's you.
And she gives him the rock with the end with the rock on it, and grabs the other end, ties it around herself, and dives into the water.
Oh boy.
Shit.
Nice.
5 cards though.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Miss,
Oh, no.
and 2 edges.
Okay.
Wow.
Whew. All right, that was those were the 2 cards at the
Those were
end
the
from
2
that bite
cards.
deck. So, hand me the bite cards that you have drawn, and because those don't go back in until you on an edge. You can draw from the bite deck, or you can suffer serious harm. It's your choice. We haven't done serious harm, so I'll describe this. When you suffer serious harm, you draw from the survivor deck. Draw an additional card, so you'd only draw 1 card. Draw an additional card for each true statement. The harm is accidental. The harm isn't explicitly lethal. You have body. So you would draw accidental harm. It is not explicitly lethal, so you would draw another card. Right?
Drowning's pretty explicitly lethal.
It's the river is not attempting to
Okay.
target you like someone with like a knife or a grenade
Okay, fair
or
enough.
guns, right? And on a hit, you will live. So you want more cards when you're drawing
Right,
on this.
right,
So the
right.
more things you hit, but you don't have any cover. You don't have any body armor, right?
Does
so,
the
so
rope that I tied around myself count?
that would count as a bodyguard. So
Jimmy
I would
has
let you.
the other end.
So I would let you draw. 4 cards. You would draw 4 cards on that. On a hit, you would live. On a triumph, it's minor but heroic. On an edge, you would choose it's messy, you'll die without immediate aid. It's painful, take -1 until you get some rest. It's lasting, one of your stats goes down by 1 permanently. So that's like you lose a leg. On a miss, you're dead. Right? So if you draw, like you've seen how this goes, you
I've
draw
seen how this
5 of
goes.
those cards.
Or
You would
could
draw
from-
4 cards. If you don't have an edge or a triumph or an opportunity, if they're all misses, you're just gone. That's how serious. Whereas on the bite deck, it's quite definitive depending on that 1 card.
Exactly.
But we've already gotten 2 something breaks, so there's a lot of safety cards in there that have not been found. You can card count the bite card.
yes. So what's the exact distribution? Sorry, I'm going to go into card counting.
The exact distribution, I am not quite sure.
Okay, cool.
To be honest, I know that there are a number of safe cards. I think there's at least 3 safe. Nothing happens. There are more zombies appear. None of those have been drawn. They're the most common. There's a threat. A threat escalates. So these were something breaks, but something is an external threat. Something escalates. So that might be in this case. The more debris in the river or something, or strangers show up or a fire breaks out, right? That's those non-zombie threats. And then 1 card now out of 13 remaining says you have been bitten. Or you can draw 4 cards to
And-
suffer serious harm.
I have that 1 out of 3 chance of actually drawing what I want.
Yeah. And only 1 card in here says triumph, 1 card in here says opportunity, and the rest is half edge and miss.
Oh no! Oh no!
I'm praying for you.
So it is
Thank you.
entirely
That
possible
means
to draw
something
4
to me.
misses.
It does mean
Because I
something.
think there's
I'm holding the rope.
I'm also trying to pull you in from the
there's
rope.
15 cards in the bite deck. There's only 12 in the survivor. You're going for the bite deck.
think
You're
I'm
reaching
going for the bite
deck.
deck. More zombies.
Oh no!
You get into the water, you dive, you're under the water for a minute, you grab Kirby around the race, you get to the surface, you're gasping for air. Jimmy, you're on the rope, you're pulling them in. Just as that happens, they're coming out of the water. They're coming out of the mud, and they're caught up in this plume, and they're getting caught up in like this dam of debris, and they're spilling out onto the ground. And it's Virginia, who hasn't said a word, just kind of yells out, "Walkers!" And they're like these like bloated, drowning, wet, soggy, gross things, and they're coming out and they're grasping at you in the water like the jellyfish story I told you off air. And they're in like a bloom of zombies have come down in the river.
Fuck.
You're having to run out. Now, who's on point? You draw for the group. You suffer alone. You have an option here. Do you fight the dead? Do you fool the dead? Do you flee the dead? How do you get, or do you try, like, you have rescued Kirby, but you're now like you're getting to the shore, but that's what's going on. They're right on your heels, and things are now kind of, we're slowing time down as we see what do you do. I don't know if you could fool the dead in this situation, or you could just try and pull people and just make a run for it, or you're the savage guy. You could just you grab that rock you had on the other end of the rope, just start bashing them as they're coming out.
Let's go savage. I'll take the rope and you take the zombies.
On it.
So you can give him, this would be your drawing on savagery. He's going to draw 4. He can draw 5 if you draw from the bite deck. Right?
Yeah.
Because that's like, right? Like now this is
I'm a man
serious.
of somebody else's
Hand me that,
word.
that threat.
Here comes a bite. No, safe. Nothing
Safe?
goes wrong.
Whoa.
Nothing goes
Nice.
wrong.
All right.
So you grab the rope and you're like, go do what you do. So I'll shuffle the survivor deck again as, you know, you're holding on to Kirby with dear life. You're now holding on to the rope, Pat. Virginia is like just kind of freaking out. Odette is not saying anything, is over at a rock, just kind of eyes wide. And Tasha, the nurse, is going to be there to help pull you out of the water and tend your wound. So it's all Jimmy. 5 cards from the survivor deck.
boy.
Out you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
All right. We have miss, edge. Oh, sorry, triumph. Yes.
Oh.
And opportunity. I think we're going with triumph.
Yeah.
here.
Triumph is the best one. So on a triumph, you get to pick. So on an edge, you would pick one, and the GM picks another.
Oh, boy.
On a triumph, you only have to pick one. All of these suck, which is why it's really funny when the GM gets to pick. You attract the attention of a third party. You end up in a bad spot and draw from the bite deck yourself. Or you suffer stress or serious harm, your choice. So you haven't taken a whole lot of stress. You can take the stress.
Right.
And when you fight on savagery, you greatly reduce their numbers. And in this case, you'll beat them back out into the water and you'll pull yourselves to safety.
Might as well just take the stress. That seems like the best option.
Yeah.
I'm in.
I just see some people just really, really like to pull from the bite deck.
Yeah.
And just play
It's fun too. I was honestly debating.
So what do you
Yeah.
do? How do you greatly reduce the numbers of these bloaters coming out of the water?
So he just wades in there with this rock and just starts bashing their skulls one at a time.
just like taking out just like killing a fish.
Yep.
You think that you see a small glance of
Just
like.
over the head,
Just
down.
like,
So Jimmy thinks he sees a small glance of admiration from Sarah.
Yeah.
And then once she notices, like,
Oh.
him seeing that, she just shuts it down and is like, what? No.
He's like,
no,
did I really
no.
see that?
I hate you.
don't know.
No, old life.
Old
Now,
life.
remember to look to your pasts and to your traumas. You've got opportunities here, especially as you're taking stress. You can
Yeah.
use that. You also, as the heavy, how do you clear stress as the heavy?
When you eliminate a significant danger to the enclave. Oh boy, would this be? I guess
This is-
Clear,
yeah,
clear the stress you just took. That's
Yeah,
why
And is
the
it
heavy
all of it
really
or
good.
just
Clear one.
One.
It's just
Yeah.
clear one stress. So how do you clear stress, Prophet, while we're at it?
When I gain a new convert, severely punish someone for their sins, or get the Enclave to adopt a religious prohibition.
That's a long con. And vision, how do you get visionary? How do you clear your stress?
I clear one stress when I accomplish a step in my vision for the Enclave.
Okay, and that's kind of up to you.
It is,
It's like
yeah.
both the prophet and the visionary. It's you can bullshit your way to clearing out some of that stress. All right, so you get yourself to the water, you pull Kirby. He's gasping for breath. He can't believe it. He's been up there all day. He's exhausted. He's tired. Tasha comes in and starts just getting him water and lifting him up. And all right, well we gotta get him back to the Enclave right now. We gotta go. It's late. We don't know what else is out here.
Where's Jack?
And then Odette then Virginia and Odette are like, well, what about Jack? We can't just leave him out here. And Kirby's like, he got washed away. I don't know. He's somewhere downstream. He's probably in the sewers by now. The river heads into the city aqueduct. I don't know, man. It all happened. We were moving in on he's just exhausted. They were moving in on a deer, and then this flash flood came washing in, and he got into the tree in time, and he almost had Jack's hand, and he just couldn't hold, and he breaks down.
I move forward to comfort him. It's all right. It is all right.
Oh, we can go back to our regular move side.
Yeah. I guess I'm going to...
you can open up to someone
I'm
as
going to
well,
open
or you
up
can
to him.
calm an NPC down.
I think in this case, I'm going to calm. I'm going to go with the long calm.
So that's your steal? Because if you open up, you can go on soul.
Oh, you
and
know what?
can
I'll open up
choose-
to him. I will open up to him. Kirby, I have been where you are. You did great. You did everything that you could. We're going to find Jack, Kirby. Your job right now is to get some rest. We will have many more days before us. Let one of us carry the burden of bringing Jack home.
How much is your soul?
3.
Draw 3 cards.
Triumph.
Nice.
It's too bad because on an edge, I could ask you for help and you could mark stress to weasel out. On a triumph, an NPC, for players, this is a way for you to look at face down identity cards and to ask them honest questions. But for NPCs, it will raise their disposition or calm them down. So Kirby might still be upset, but he might see you as an ally, which is one of your things.
Again,
so do you
the
want
long
to calm him
calm.
down or do you want to raise disposition?
I want to raise disposition.
Yeah. So he's still just like crying, like I couldn't get him, but he hears you.
Yes.
And Kirby is now considered an ally of yours. So you can even draw that card over to your side of the table so you can keep an eye on that.
Sweet.
And I would say an ally is the first step to becoming a convert.
Perfect. Yes.
Yeah.
I've shown I have a track record. here.
Kirby might start hanging out at the barn a little bit more once you get back to the Enclave. Now, are we getting back to the Enclave? Are we returning?
I think we should try to see if any of these materials that are floating down the river are salvageable.
Okay, scavenge for supplies.
Yes.
That makes sense.
So draw 3 cards.
Why 3?
That's how much it is. Scavenging for supplies is always just 3 cards. And then an edge counts as 1 gear, a triumph counts as 2 gear. And then if you
Right.
want to mine more, you can push your luck, draw from the bite card,
Okay.
and draw 3 more cards.
Great.
Right? This is the best and really the only way to get supplies, especially when you want to fix scarcities or fix advantages that have broken.
I want to push my luck.
Okay, well let's see
Or-
what the card is
okay,
first. Yeah.
okay.
One mess.
Okay, no points.
Another mess.
No points.
An opportunity.
Opportunity. You can mark stress. You can
I
turn that
will.
into 2 gear.
I absolutely
Because you're
will.
going back into the water that you just fought zombies in. That's kind of terrifying.
There's
but
still bits of them
at
there.
2 gear is useful but small. So it would be like keys, clothing, flashlights. So the kinds of stuff you're going to get from 2 gear is just going to be stuff maybe to keep Kirby warm, or to you can find other kinds of like small things like a handgun.
Some nails, a hammer, something like
little
that.
things. But if you're
Toolkit.
looking for enough to be like construction materials, you're gonna need 2 more gear.
Okay.
So you could push your luck and you could draw 3 more and keep fishing out of the river as we go later into the night. The longer we spend out there, the longer we have a chance of attracting more attention.
So
or you can just cut your losses, take your clothing, and go back and be like, it's not much, but here's some blankets.
So I think Sarah sees Pat trying to help, sees Father Pat like trying to start going into the river. She waves him off and dives back in again herself.
Draw from the bite card.
Oh,
More zombies, just what we wanted.
All right, draw the cards here.
2 edges and a miss.
2 edges and a miss. So you see, it's like the back of a flatbed truck, and it's got materials. You can see like strapped to it is like lumber and bags and things, and it's just kind of like it's gotten caught up in the river. You go out there to like just grab it and start pulling it in, but of course, just as you do it, they're still in the water, right? And they're back at it. Guy, they're all on the beachfront. You just saw Sarah dive back in, and now you if you pull this out, you'll have the supplies you need for the Enclave. But at the same time, you're being pulled into the water.
Go.
We're back at it.
Go.
This is how this episode's
Right.
like.
Damn it, Sarah.
Damn it, Sarah.
Also, I'd like to
Hand
reveal
me
my
that zombie. Hand me that zombie card.
Sure,
This
sorry.
side. Yeah.
I'd also like to reveal my trauma at this point.
Yeah.
I'm selfish.
Yeah, you are.
So
Wow.
And so you can clear stress. What does it say when revealed?
clear stress when you refuse someone's request for help.
Okay.
So I will clear 1 stress. I get 1.
I don't need your help, Pat. Dive into the water.
Yes, you do.
And you also one of your stats goes up.
One of my stats goes up. I got an extra soul.
Okay.
nice.
But who's on point?
I'm on point.
All right, so you're going in. Are you fighting the dead? Or are you fleeing the dead? You can just grab Sarah, pull him out of the water, and just run away.
Yeah,
There's a chance that you might leave the supplies behind if you fail the roll.
People matter more than things. I am going to try and rescue Sarah. We also have a better chance of success.
Because it's a survival.
It is survival, yes. So I get 2 cards instead of 1.
Is anyone drawing from the bite deck to help the person on point?
I'm going to, actually, I've been drawing from the bite deck a lot.
Yeah.
Jimmy will drop from the bite down.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, let's do this. Safe. Nothing goes wrong for the moment.
Hey,
Amazing.
so you get to draw 3 cards. We were done this. We were heading back, and then Sarah.
Sarah dove in.
I have an opportunity.
Okay, so mark stress. You can turn that into a triumph.
I certainly will, yes.
Thank
The
you.
others were all misses. Without that, it just counts as a miss. So the GM does not get to pick any. So you get to pick one of these. You run into another danger or a crisis. You leave something or someone valuable behind. You draw from the bite deck or suffer serious harm. Your choice.
Since I was going for Sarah, I can't choose the leaving the stuff behind, right?
Well, you
Or
could
is
get
that-
Sarah, but leave the truck.
The
Like,
construction
what the
materials.
hell? Leave the construction materials behind.
Since that was already what we said, that's what I'm going to choose.
So the 2 gear you pulled out of the water,
No!
you would just leave in the water.
I am really upset right now.
yes, you can be upset and alive. Look at that.
But you escape. You get out. The zombies wash away with the truck and the supplies. You're back to 2 gear. You've got your
Okay.
blankets. And
Time to go home.
and Tasha and Virginia are like, can we leave now? And Odette is like, you are playing with fate, child.
I keep my
The
promises.
stars are not in your favor. Not on this moon. You should try again when Mercury is in retrograde.
Sarah just looks at her and doesn't respond.
I hate it when Mercury's in Gatorade.
Okay. So, we'll with that bickering going on, we'll end it there. We'll return back to the Enclave. You got Kirby, but you didn't get Jack, the farmer's son.
And we also didn't get the gear that I promised Priya.
Didn't get the gear that you promised Priya. So we have some issues to deal with at Huckleberry Farm next week when we return. But this is Zombie World. And I've been your GM, Justin Eacock. I've been surrounded by my survivors, ? With a death wish, most likely, !
Yeah.
Playing our visionary, our selfish visionary, whose past we still don't know about.
My Way or the Highway, Sarah Davos.
Who's-
Played by Joe Drummond.
Played by Joe Drummond. Playing our heavy, who we don't know, how do you get through this? And who did you... We still don't know those questions. Those cards remain face down. But Jimmy, our heavy,
played by Sean Horbachuk.
And our prophet, who's maybe you got one more added to the flock, Father Pat.
Always hoping. Father Pat, played by Velvet Duke.
And we'll be back next week with our follow-up of the consequences of this past hour here on Zombie World, right here on Terror Warriors. Until that time, thank you for joining us. Be good to each other. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.